Hi, my name is Daniel, and I want to tell you a story that changed my life forever. It's a story about kindness, injustice, and finding your voice when no one wants to hear it. But this story doesn't start with something beautiful. It starts with something painful. I lost my job for giving a sandwich to a stranger. Yes, a sandwich. But that's not the whole story. So let me start from the beginning. At the time, I worked at a small coffee shop in the city. It wasn't anything special, but it was a job. I made good coffee, cleaned the tables, and smiled at the customers. Every morning, I put on my uniform and tried to stay positive. I had rent to pay, student loans, and my little sister depending on me. My boss, Mr. Grant, was strict. Always watching, always judging. He said things like, "Time is money and don't be soft with people." If you were late, even 2 minutes, you'd get a warning. If you forgot to wear your cap, another warning. Still, I needed the job. So I followed the rules. One cold morning in December, I arrived at the shop at 6:30 a.m., as usual. It was still dark outside and the streets were empty. As I walked to the back door, I saw a man sitting on the sidewalk. He was wrapped in a dirty yellow blanket, shaking from the cold. He looked about 50, maybe older. His shoes were torn and he held a cardboard sign. It said, "Just hungry. Not dangerous." Our eyes met for a second. He didn't ask for anything. He just looked tired. Tired in a way I couldn't forget. That day, during my lunch break, I made an extra sandwich. Turkey, cheese, tomato. Nothing fancy. I wrapped it in paper and walked outside. The man was still there. "Hey," I said, walking toward him. "You hungry?" He looked surprised. Then he smiled, showing missing teeth. "Yes, thank you, young man. God bless you." He took the sandwich with both hands like it was gold. I just nodded and went back to work. I didn't think it was a big deal. Just food. Just kindness. But I was wrong. That afternoon, Mr. Grant called me into his office. His arms were crossed, his eyes cold. "Daniel," he said, "did you give food to that homeless man outside?" I didn't lie. "Yes, sir. I made it with my own lunch." "You used company products. That's stealing." "But he's hungry. It's just one sandwich." Mr. Grant stood up. "We don't feed beggars here. They scare customers away. I warned you before. This is your final notice." My chest felt tight. I tried to explain again, but he raised his hand to stop me. "One more act of charity," he said, "and you're gone." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the man and his smile, the yellow blanket, his quiet thank you. Was it really wrong to help someone in need? The next week I saw him every morning, always sitting in the same place, sometimes shivering, sometimes sleeping, but never begging. I started bringing him small things: old gloves, warm tea, a scarf from my closet. I didn't tell anyone. I just wanted to help. One rainy morning, he wasn't there. His corner was empty. For the first time in weeks, I felt alone. But the next day, he was back, and he looked worse. His skin was pale, his hands shaking more than usual. I gave him a muffin and asked, "Are you okay?" He smiled weakly. "Just tired. Cold nights are hard on old bones." I wanted to do more. but I also knew what Mr. Grant said. Later that day, I did something risky. I used my employee card to get into the stock room, and I packed a small bag. 2 bottles of water, a sandwich, some cookies, and a fresh pair of socks. I waited until closing time. Everyone had left. The streets were quiet again. I walked up to him and gave him the bag. He looked inside and his eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, son. No one's done this for me in years." I didn't see Mr. Grant standing across the street. The next morning he was waiting for me at the door. His arms were folded, his face red. "You're done," he said. "Sir, please." "You broke the rules. Again. You're fired." Just like that. No second chance. No mercy. I stood in the street holding my things, watching the customers walk in without looking at me. I had nothing. No job. No backup plan. Just this fire inside me that said, "This isn't fair. How can it be wrong to care?" I walked down the street past his corner. The man in the yellow blanket was still there. He saw me, stood up, walked over slowly. "What's wrong?" he asked. I told him everything. He listened, then put his hand on my shoulder. "You did what was right," he said. "Even if the world says you're wrong." That night I sat alone on my bed and asked myself a question. Should I regret what I did? Or should I fight for what I believe in? The days after I lost my job were hard. Really hard. I sent out resumes, called old contacts, checked every job site I could find. But no one was hiring. At least not someone like me, with no degree, no connections, and a bad attitude, as Mr. Grant probably told people. I ate less to save money. Skipped breakfast. Only had 1 meal a day. My phone bill was overdue. My rent was almost late. And every morning I still passed by the man with the yellow blanket. His name was Charlie. He told me that a few weeks after his wife died, he lost his home. She had cancer. Medical bills took everything. He worked in construction, but after a back injury, no one wanted to hire him anymore. He tried to stay with friends, but they were struggling too. So the streets became his bed. I listened to his story in silence. And for the first time, I realized something. He wasn't weak. He wasn't lazy. He was just unlucky. One bad turn. That's all it took. And now I was walking that same road. Charlie started calling me kid, like I was part of his family. He taught me small things, how to stay warm when it's wet, how to find a bathroom that wouldn't kick you out, how to tell the difference between people who care and people who look away. But I still felt angry, not at him, at the system, at the people who walked past Charlie every day without even a hello, at Mr. Grant, who threw me away like trash for showing kindness. One afternoon, I saw a woman take a picture of Charlie and laugh. He didn't say anything, just lowered his eyes and pulled the blanket closer. I couldn't take it anymore. That night, I posted about what happened. I wrote, "I was fired for giving food to a homeless man. His name is Charlie. He's a good man, not garbage. This world needs more heart, not more rules." I added a photo of the bag I gave him weeks ago. And I posted it on social media. Then I went to sleep. The next morning, my phone was buzzing. Hundreds of messages. thousands of likes, shares, comments. My post had gone viral. People were furious. They called the coffee shop, left bad reviews, posted angry videos. Some even said they would stop buying coffee from that company. My old coworkers texted me, "Bro, you're famous. Mr. Grant is freaking out. Some reporter wants to talk to you." I couldn't believe it. I had nothing yesterday, and today people were calling me a hero. But I didn't feel like one, because Charlie was still sleeping on the ground, cold, alone. All this attention meant nothing if it didn't help him too. A woman messaged me and said she worked for a charity. She asked, "Can we meet Charlie? Maybe we can help." I asked him. He said yes. So the next day I brought them together. The woman, Julia, brought hot food, clean clothes, and a big smile. She talked to Charlie like he was a real person, not a problem to be solved. He cried again. I looked away to give him space. 1 week later, Charlie was moved into a shelter. He had a warm bed, hot showers, and people who checked on him every day. Julia said she was trying to help him find a small job at a warehouse. Nothing big, but something. When I saw him at the shelter for the first time, he looked different. Not just clean, hopeful. He hugged me. "Kid, you saved my life." I shook my head. "Number, you saved mine." But the story didn't end there. Because just when I thought things were getting better, Mr. Grant filed a complaint. He told people I damaged the company's image, that I made up lies to get attention. He even said I stole company products and should pay for them. Some people online started changing sides. They said things like, "He broke the rules. So what did he expect?" And maybe this guy just wanted followers. I was angry, but more than that, I was scared. Could I get in legal trouble? Would I lose the small job I finally got doing deliveries? Was I really the bad guy? Then one day, something happened that I'll never forget. I was delivering lunch to a tall office building downtown. I walked into the lobby, gave the bag to the receptionist, and turned to leave. "Wait," someone shouted. A woman in a red coat ran up to me. "Are you Daniel?" she asked. "Yes." "I saw your story. I just wanted to say thank you. My brother was homeless for 2 years before he passed. People treated him like he was invisible. What you did, giving that man a name, a story, it matters." She gave me a hug and walked away. And I stood there, frozen. That hug hit deeper than any insult Mr. Grant could ever throw. That's when I knew. Even if I had no money, even if people hated me online, I had done the right thing. I didn't help Charlie because I wanted praise. I helped him because he's human, just like me, just like you. But still, the story wasn't over yet. Because a few days later, I got an email with a subject line that stopped my heart. Urgent. Invitation to speak at local high school. Someone wanted me to come speak about my story, about kindness, about courage. I didn't feel ready. I didn't think I was the kind of person people listened to. But maybe I could try. And maybe this was just the beginning. But what would I even say to a room full of students? And was I really strong enough to tell this story out loud? The night before the school talk, I barely slept. I sat on my bed, staring at the email again and again. My hands were cold. My chest felt tight. I kept thinking, why me? I wasn't a teacher. I wasn't famous. I had no degree, no big job, no perfect life. I was just a guy who gave a sandwich to someone who needed it. Was that really something worth talking about? But deep inside, I knew the answer. Yes. Because if someone had told me years ago that small acts of kindness matter, even when the world tells you they don't, I might have lived differently. Maybe I would have spoken up sooner, helped more, believed more in myself. Maybe some of those students felt the same way. So I said yes. The next morning, I put on the cleanest shirt I had, combed my hair, and took the train to the school. It was a public high school on the east side of town, the kind of place where kids carry a lot of weight on their shoulders. I saw it in their eyes when I walked in. The auditorium wasn't fancy. The microphone buzzed a little. But when the students came in and sat down, the room felt full of energy, like something important was about to happen. I stepped up to the mic. My voice shook a little. Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm not a teacher. I don't have all the answers, but I do have a story. And I told them everything. About Charlie, about the sandwich, about Mr. Grant, about being fired, about going viral, about the hate and the love, about the fear. I kept my words simple because the truth doesn't need big words. Then I said this: you don't need money to make a difference. You don't need power. All you need is the courage to care, even when it's hard, even when it costs you something, even when no one's watching. The room was silent. Some students stared. Some looked down. One girl wiped her eyes. When I finished, they clapped. Not loud, not fast, but real. Afterward, a boy came up to me. He looked about 14, skinny, quiet. He said, "My brother lives on the street." I never told anyone. I was ashamed. He looked up at me, eyes wide. I'm not ashamed anymore. I bent down, looked him in the eye, and said, "You have nothing to be ashamed of. Your story matters, just like his, just like yours." That moment, that one moment, was worth everything. Later that week, the school posted the talk online. More people watched it. More messages came in. People shared their own stories. Some talked about being homeless. Some talked about being fired for standing up for what's right. Some just said thank you. Charlie, now living in a small shared apartment thanks to the charity, saw it too. He called me from his new phone. "Kid," he said, "I've been crying for an hour." But for once, they're happy tears. He started doing volunteer work at the shelter, helping others like him, giving back. "I don't have much," he told me, "but I have time. I have my hands. And now, thanks to you, I have hope." We stayed close. He became like an uncle to me, the kind that tells old stories and gives advice even when you don't ask for it. And me? I found a new job, a better one, at a local youth center. They said they wanted people with heart. I smiled and said, "I can do that." I started speaking at more schools, community centers, small events. Always the same message. Kindness is not weakness. It's courage. The world doesn't need more rules. It needs more people who care. One day I got a letter, a real one, from a kid I met during a school talk. She wrote, "I wanted to hurt myself. I thought no one would miss me. But then I heard your story. I saw how much one person can matter. So, I'm still here. Thank you," I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I finally understood something I had missed all along. I wasn't fired for helping a homeless man. I was fired because I chose kindness over rules. And that led me to everything. Sometimes the world will punish you for doing the right thing. But do it anyway. Because one small act can grow into something bigger than you ever imagined. If you're watching this right now and wondering, what can I do? I'm just one person. Let me tell you something. One person can feed a stranger. One person can speak up. One person can start a fire of kindness that spreads across a city. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to see the people the world tries to ignore and care anyway. The world may not always reward you, but someone will remember you. Someone's life might change because you made a simple human choice to help. So what would you do if you saw someone like Charlie? Would you walk past? Or would you stop? Just think about it. Because kindness is free, but its value, it's everything. Thank you for listening. And hey, whatever you're going through, don't forget, your story matters too.